Hi, this is Miss Cairo here. This is lesson 5-3, and we are on page 169 in your activity books. And we just discussed that when we come across the step of check in our digit by digit steps, when we get our answer for our subtraction problem, we need to check and see if our answer is less than our divisor. And in this case, 93 was larger than 85, so that meant that we could form one more group of 85, meaning that we needed to increase this 5 in our quotient to a 6 to form one more group of 85. And then number 1 asks or says when we estimate a number that is too big, we overestimate, meaning we have to erase and change the number. When we estimate with a number that is too small or underestimate, do we always have to erase? For digit by digit method, yes, we always do have to erase. But if we're using the expanded notation method, what we would do is just build one more group on top and then go back and add the groups together. So that's the expanded notation way. We wouldn't have to erase. But we're not going to get too much practice in with that for this video. If you want to try out some problems with the expanded notation method later, we can do that in class live. So at the bottom of the page, it says solve each division. You may need to adjust one or both estimated numbers. So for numbers 2, 3, and 4, we're going to set up our whiteboards for success. And again, I have the steps: divide, multiply, subtract, check, and bring down. Those letters go along with the question: do monkeys sell crispy bananas? And here's how I set up my whiteboard, and I'd like you to do the same as well. I like to put the first letters of each step for digit by digit on the side so I can keep track of each step of my division, basically. So on the side, what I'd like you to do is I line it up like this: D, M, S, C, B, and those letters again stand for divide, multiply, subtract, check, and bring down. So have those letters on the side like I do. And then an additional step with 2-digit divisors, of course, is to estimate our divisor first before we begin multiplying or before we begin dividing. So at the top, I am also going to write estimate. And then again, what I've been doing a lot is I've been doing like a thought bubble at the very top of my whiteboard. This is where all my mental math is going to be kept handy for my estimating. And I'll show you how to use that thought bubble with this example problem number 2. So have your thought bubble out like that. And let's write out our division sentence: 4,032 divided by 56. This is number 2 in your book. I'd like you to do it on your whiteboard. That way we can easily erase and easily space out our numbers a little more so we can keep our place values orderly. Okay, does your whiteboard look like mine? Step number 1 is we're going to estimate our divisor. What is our divisor in this problem? It is 56, so we're going to have to round 56 to the nearest 10. So that 5 in the tens place, that signals to me we're either going to be rounding to 50 or to 60. And so we look at the number in the ones place. 6 is more than 5. That means we're closer to 60. So for 56 underneath, we're going to put a 60 for 60. And again, I'm already kind of being clued in. 56 is very much so almost in the middle of 50 and 60. So that might mean we might be underestimating or overestimating for this problem. So definitely get ready to be doing some erasing as needed. All right. And so now our next step is to divide, and we're figuring out what digits in their dividend are we working with for dividing 56 into. So let's underline the digit all the way to the left is 4. Can 56 go into 4? It cannot. So let's continue that line and let's have 40 underlined. Can 56 go into 40? No. Because 1 times 56 is 56. That would be too much. We can't subtract 40 minus 56. So we're going to have to keep on underlining. And now we have 403 underlined. Can we divide 56 into 403? we can. And we're going to do some estimating first so that we can easily find a number that's close enough, okay? So in our thought bubble, what I'd like you to write out is 60 times what, and we'll leave a little blank there, equals, and I'm going to leave it blank, but I am going to write below it like this, 403, nice and small. That way in my mind, I can kind of keep track. I'm trying to get a number that gets me close to 403 or a product close to 403 without going over, in which I'll multiply 60 by. So 60 times what gets us close to 403 without going over? Go ahead and try it. 60 times 6 is 360. 60 times 7 is 420. That might be too much. So let's start off with 6. Okay, 60 times 6 is 360. That gets us close to 403 without going over. So I'm going to put a 6 in our quotient and our 10 spot. And let's try it. The next step we just divided is to multiply. 6 times 56, if you need to rewrite it on the side, set yourself up for success in writing 56 at the top times 6, or you can multiply within the problem, and I'll show you how. We multiply 6 times 6, which is in our 1 spot for 56. 6 times 6 is 36. The 3 goes above the 5. The 6 goes in our 1 spot in our product underneath the 3. 6 times 5 is 30, plus 3 is 33. So we have 336 as our product. Our next step is to subtract. What's 403 minus 336? Well, we do need to borrow here. And when we borrow, we get 13 minus 6, which is 7. And 39 minus 3 is 6. So we get 67 as our answer for our subtraction problem. Our next step is to check. Is 67 less than 56? It's not. It's more than 56. Uh-oh. That means something. That signals to us that we can form one more group of 56. What we just did is we estimated, and our estimation came out a little wrong. We can form one more group up here. This 60 or 6 in our 10 spot can actually be a 7. So we're going to have to do some erasing. I'm going to get my eraser ready. I'm going to have to erase our subtraction work, our product that we got for multiplying, and our answer. And we basically kind of have to start fresh in our division problem. We're going to erase that 6. I'm going to erase the 3 that I used for my multiplication problem. 1 more than 6 was 7. So let's try that. What is 56 times 7? So try it on the side if you need to. I'm going to do it directly in the problem. I have 403 here, so I'm going to be lining it up underneath 403. 7 times 6 is 42. The 2 goes in our product. The 4 goes above the 5. 7 times 5 is 35, plus 4 is 39. This looks much better. 392 is our product, and now we can subtract. What's 403 minus 392? Did you get 11? Great. And then our next step is to check, is 11 less than 56? It is, so we are in fact good. And that brings us to our last step for this part, which is to bring down the 2 to get 1112. We are not done with the problem. We're going to start the process all over again. And now we're working with how many times does 56 go into 112 without going over? So again, we're going to use our estimation really quick up here in our thought bubble. We're now working with, let's do some erasing from our last one. 60 times something gets us close to 112 without going over. What's 60 times 1? That's 60, too small. What's 60 times 2? 120. That might be too much. Let's see if 1 works. So again, be ready to erase as needed. Let's put our 1 in our quotients. That's going to be in our 1 spot. And our next step is we're going to be multiplying 1 times 56. Well, what's 1 times 56, everyone? just 56. So we're going to write a 5 and a 6 below 112. Do you see how all my place values are set up correctly? Great. And now we're going to subtract. We can't subtract 2 minus 6, so we need to borrow. I'm going to borrow from my 11 tens and create 10 tens. Bring over 10 ones, and now we have 12 minus 6 to get 6. 10 minus 5 is 5. And then our last step is our next step is to check. Is 56 equal to or greater than 56, our divisor? It's equal to. So what does that mean? We can form one more group of ones up here. This one was too short. We're going to have to increase it by 1. What's 1 more than 1? 2. So that means we have to do some erasing here. I told you guys it gets kind of tricky, but staying organized is most important here. We're going to have to erase our product of 56, our answer for our subtraction problem, which was 56. That borrowing that I did, I'm going to erase that. And now we're left back at our original step of 112 going into 56. We said it was 1 time. It's actually should be 2. Let's see if this works. What is 2 times 56? Try it on the side or solve it in the problem. 2 times 6 is 12. 2 times 5 is 10 plus 1 is 11. And that brings us to 112. That's what I thought we would get. What's 112 minus 112? 0. And we have nothing else to bring down, so that means we've arrived at our answer. This remainder of 0, we don't have to count that. That has no value. So our true quotient in this problem is just 72. Great. Go ahead and write that into your book, 72. And thanks for following along. Let's try out some more problems together.